Are you a basketball player?
No, sir. I am a prominent. I like football, playing football a lot. I generally do even sometimes play basketball, but not really. I'm not very involved in basketball.
Not cricket?
No, sir. I mean, I'm a very big football fan and a football player.
All right. So are you a player also?
Yes, sir. I mean, I have always been. I've always participated in any activity, football activity that I could.
Okay. And you've taken maths as your optional subject.
Yes, sir. It's the most closely aligned option that was available with my graduation subject, which was computer science and engineering.
Excellent. And you think you've done well in that paper?
Sir, I'm expecting close to 320 in mathematics option. It went absolutely amazing with option paper.
Very good. That means you got.
Yes.
Good. So you, what I'm happy about is that you retained your domain expertise and exhibited it with strength.
I would say, sir, I'm a very pragmatic person. I have always had a very good aptitude in mathematics, and it absolutely made a lot of sense for me to take mathematics optional.
And you're very happy about the exam, the way it went.
Sir, I just could not complete the GS papers. That is the one downside that I think that was there in this year's exam. Apart from that, I think from the optional perspective, definitely it went really well.
Good. So is this your first attempt?
Sir, it's technically my second attempt, but the first serious attempt, I was working at Amazon and I left my job in 2022. So I was could not have a very significant preparation during the first.
All right, okay. So your first year is IAS and then IPS, right?
Yes, sir.
And foreign service comes at number 5.
Yes, sir.
You're not too keen on going abroad?
Sir, I've spent considerable time abroad, working as well as studying.
Where did you study here?
Sir, I actually went on a semester exchange program through IIT Bombay. I went to NUS in Singapore. I have also done 3 internships abroad, starting from Belgium, where I did a research internship at a university. And during my 3rd year, I went to IBM Zurich in Switzerland. And during my 4th year, I went to Amazon in Boston. That is where I got the pre-placement offer. But by that time, I figured out that I'm very comfortable living here in India and staying close to my family, so I came back.
All right. You're from IIT Bombay. Okay, tell me the first question which I'd like to ask you is, these new laws which have come.
Right, sir.
Do you think they are good? They'll be very, very beneficial? Or just give me 3 good points and 3 points of concern.
Sure, sir. Sir, I'll give you 3 good points. First of all, I believe one of the very significant contributions that it has made the laws pretty gender neutral, which I believe actually falls in line with the modern values. Secondly, sir, it is also there are also restrictions to complete investigations within time, which is also a very good step to reduce our judicial backlog. Thirdly, sir, there has also been rationalization of several laws such as the sedition law, which has been long in demand. So that is definitely a very good step. The 3 issues that I would like to point out, perhaps which I have read mostly through the newspapers. Sir, it has been alleged that not a lot of reforms had been brought. Mostly the laws just have been given the new name. There was a lot more scope to bring more reforms. That would be first. Secondly, sir, I believe there is also some repetition. Terrorism, the definition of terrorism has been brought into the laws, but that also happens to be in the UPA law. So I believe there is this repetition which can cause some confusion. Apart from that, sir, definitely there are other emerging fields which have not been correctly incorporated. Perhaps the government plans to bring them through the new separate law, but that would also be a concern that I would.
Okay, it's a good attempt. Okay, second, tell me, are you concerned about the that some of the information which the public should have, it's not coming to them. Like for example, about electoral bonds. Which party is funded by how much of money and checks, should that be known to the public? Secondly, about PM Care Fund. How much of money is going to whom, if the people want to know?
Sir, I definitely feel I would give primacy to transparency and access to information, but definitely I would try to balance it with national security and other aspects. But when it comes to these specific instances that you have pointed out, definitely, sir, I feel PM Cares Fund, there could have been more scope for introducing more transparency, as well as in electoral bonds, sir. I would not say perhaps we don't need entire complete transparency, because there are other issues as well, as it can discourage funding and promote more funding through the black money channels. So, but there's definitely a lot of scope for rationalization, and I would actually be in support of that.
Do you, as an engineer, what about the data protection bill,
Right.
digital data protection bill, and the cross-country flow of information? What is your view on that?
So it's a very complex problem, I would say. Restricting the data localization that the government is trying to emphasize on, it has both positives and negatives. It can give impetus to local innovation, artificial intelligence companies, startups that are coming up. It will give them more access to local data and cater to specific demands of the population. But as well as, sir, it can also hamper more investment, as a lot of big tech companies might fear due to the economic policy uncertainty that such laws bring. So it has both pros and cons.
Okay, good.
Okay, Yogesh, you are from Navi Mumbai.
Yes, sir.
What is the significant thing that has happened with Navi Mumbai?
Sir, most recently on 12th of January, Honorable Prime Minister, sir, he inaugurated the Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link. Apart from that, sir, the Navi Mumbai Airport is also under construction. Close to 60% of the construction is done.
What is this bridge called?
Sir, it's Atal Setu. It's, there's a full name, but...
Okay. What will be the time gain?
Sir, it's envisioned that right now from point to point, it would take close to 2 hours to reach from the ends of but through the bridge, it will take close to 20 minutes.
Huge. Okay, your subject is maths.
Yes, sir.
What do you understand by Vedic maths?
Vedic maths, sir, it is the ancient practice during the Vedic times. It emphasizes a lot on mental calculations, as well as, sir, I believe, if I can correctly recall, there are some 16 sutras where the basic foundations of Vedic mathematics are drawn from, and it also emphasizes on some techniques, so which in modern terms would like to call the shortcut techniques. So these are some of the points that are with regards.
It is relevant today?
Definitely, sir. I would say we should, because with the rise of digital technologies, people are actually using calculators and etc. So using mental calculations, that Vedic mathematics can definitely help in bringing more sharpness to the people. And we should actually, I think government is also looking to incorporate Vedic subjects such as Vedic Sanskrit as well as mathematics into the curriculum, and I think that's the right step.
Generally, the perception is maths is a dry subject. How will you enthuse school students to take up maths?
Sir, I personally have always enjoyed mathematics, and that is perhaps because I could see real life applications of mathematics. Such as right now, while I was working, a lot of applications where I was specifically working in the artificial intelligence sector. So mathematics has a lot of real life applications which the students could be exposed towards, so that they get more connected with the subject. As well as, sir, what we can do is we can bring in more interactive methods to teach mathematics, because there's subjects such as sub-subjects such as geometry. They could actually be grasped very easily through interactive training. As well as, sir, I believe teacher training, and we need to focus less on rote learning and try to promote critical thinking into the students. So these are some of the things.
Okay. Recently, Prime Minister gave a statement in IG's conference that policemen should use more data and not danda. So, what do you mean by this?
Sir, I am not particularly aware with the context of the Honorable Prime Minister made that statement, but I believe, sir, we have a very big under trial issue. Close to 66% of people who are in prisons are under trials. So that is, it has drawn a lot of criticism that police forces are unnecessarily actually punishing a lot of. They need to be more rationalized, sensitized with respect to the social issues. So I believe I would have to read about it more, but.
Okay. And you are a football enthusiast,
Yes,
as you said. Have you heard God's hand?
Yes, sir. It was referenced with respect to Mr. Maradona's goal, where he used his hand
Hand of God.
Hand of God.
to score a goal.
Okay. Ronaldo or Messi?
Sir, personally, I definitely like Messi a lot. His individual brilliance, I feel, as well as his team work that he does, I would definitely go ahead with Messi.
Pele or Maradona?
So that's a very difficult question for me, but because I've personally not seen both of them play in real life, but from what I've read, I would perhaps choose Pele.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yogesh,
Yes, sir.
your academic performance is simply brilliant.
Thank you, sir.
CBSE class 10, 10 out of 10,
Right, sir.
and 12 is 94.
Right, sir.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I see from your these forms that as an intern you are drawing, it seems a typographical error. You are drawing 7.5 lakh per month.
Yes, sir.
When you became permanent in as a applied scientist 1, it was 3.5 lakh, and then when you promoted to applied scientist 2, it was 6 lakh per month.
Yes, sir.
Is it a mistake or typographical error? Intern, you are mentioning 7.5 lakh
Might
per
be
month.
abroad for his intern. No?
Yes, sir.
Might be abroad.
Sir, I was being paid in US dollars. I interned in Boston. So
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
And when you joined them as scientist, your salary was in India.
yes, sir. I came back to Bangalore because I wanted to stay close to my family.
Okay, yeah, that explains, because even the as an internship you did only 3 months, so
Yes, sir.
that is fine.
Yes, sir.
But you are willing to leave your salary of 6 lakh per month?
Yes, sir.
You will never dream of that kind of a salary in any government service anywhere, not
Right.
even in foreign service.
Yes, sir. So initially in my professional journey, my decisions were based on financial security and financial independence. I actually do belong to a very humble background. But once I did get to that stage, I realized that I should not judge a career just by monetary terms. Civil services has its own benefits. The influence that I can bring to policy making and bring welfare to millions of people, that's a very big opportunity. As well as, sir, I also see my career in civil services as a long-term investment. The networks that I'll be making, the diverse sectors that I'll be working in, it
Yeah,
can
that's
help me.
good. Those are all well understood. And wanted to ask you another thing. Karanja, where you studied, is it in Raigad district?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Now, let me ask you one or two things on the PSU banks and the NPA.
Sure, sir.
Are you familiar? Why it happened?
Sir, why it happened was perhaps a lot of stress was built after the global financial crisis. There was lack of funding. There were new guidelines that also came, the Basel III guidelines, which actually raised the capitalization requirements as well. And the companies in general were under a lot of stress. There was a twin balance sheet problem. The companies' balance sheets were also under stress, and the banks' balance sheets were also under stress. So these host of issues played a role. Apart
So
from that,
who should take the blame? The bank officials disbursing the loan? Because you know, just 2 months ago our finance minister announced in parliament 10 lakh crore, and this is the 4th or 5th installment. So over 40 lakh crore of taxpayers' money gone, written off officially and in full glare of whole media and everybody. Taxpayers can do nothing, but I wanted to know, should the part of the blame be given to the banking senior officials or management or political leadership, or is it the cost of democracy? What do you think?
no, sir, I think blame should be, I mean, there are a lot of aspects. I think everyone there's action played by each and every one of them.
Okay.
Even the regulation and the private players as well as the banks, I think everyone needs to take care because these banks are too big to fail sometimes. The role that they play in our economy, so we can't let them go
Too
bust.
big to fail works in US economy.
Right, sir.
In Indian context, this is a poor country with the taxpayers' money, collected, and then if this is the way it keeps going down the drain, India will never rise up to its level of accountability in governance, which you will be joining in a very senior position. You'll have to take a call. I mean, there is a portion of it also to be blamed for the political governance that we have.
Right, sir.
Do you agree with me that?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
And that is why there has been a recent push towards privatization.
IBC also
Yes, sir.
and other things. All right, let me ask you something on, the difference between globalization and deglobalization?
So globalization was the process of interconnection of global economies. Trade, basically our global trade as part of global GDP, the proportion kept on increasing steadily, but it has recently been going down after the 2008 financial crisis. Right now, deglobalization is being talked about in the context of the COVID pandemic that happened.
Yeah, correct. So tell me, in the last 2 decades, which country has been the largest beneficiary?
Sir, I think that would go to China.
Perfect, well done. Now, just coming to the role of United Nations, I believe you want to join their foreign service as a little later down. Tell me, who should be given the prime responsibility for this Ukraine-Russia war? Was it Russia's responsibility that they started, or is it the NATO?
Sir, although it's a very complicated question, my opinion is that it was primarily Russia should have dwelled into dialogue and negotiation instead of outrightly starting a war and threatening the sovereignty of a country. So I would definitely go ahead with that, but definitely there was also part played by NATO in their...
Yeah, that is correct. Now, taking your argument, which is right, a little bit further, nowadays there are talk that the world is moving towards a third world war, which Russia doesn't mind. Mr. Putin has said that he will look after his own interest. What do you think will happen to Russia if a third world war indeed happens?
Sir, I believe Russia would be isolated. Right now, even though Western countries are trying to isolate it, India and China supported it, but I believe with such a war, suppose there's a nuclear usage of some nuclear weapons, I believe it will be very difficult for India or even China to justify their contributions with Russia. So I think Russia, if the war escalates to a wider scale, I believe Russia might be in for a very tough time.
Very good. Well done.
What is your take on this anti-defection law?
Right, sir. I believe the idea of curbing defections is absolutely right. We need to do that. But I see that as a political problem and not as a legal problem.
What is the rule? Okay. Would you describe what is the rule?
Sir,
or the law?
Sir, basically, if anyone gives their membership voluntarily or they basically join another political party, then
There's some numbers in it. When an anti-defection law would be applied, it is based on numbers. It is not just that one leaves the party or something like that.
Right, so there is a very big criteria. One is if one does not follow the directives of the whip and the whip does not...
You're going beating around the bush. You're not... either you say yes or no if you know, or if you don't know, then you say no.
What percentage has to shift to the
Sir,
other side?
2/3 to the group merger exception is for 2/3 of the party. Earlier there was a split provision for 1/3 of the party, but that was curbed through the 91st Amendment.
Okay, so what is your take on this implementation of this law in this recent Shiv Sena case?
Sir, I do believe that the speaker has mistaken based on my understanding, legal understanding, but that's I believe it has already been taken to the judiciary. Right now, the way the decision has been made, it effectively makes the group defection to 1/2 instead of 2/3.
So basically, one more thing is that if the defections are taking place in tranches, whether they has to be taken together or separately, that is another issue.
Yes, sir.
Which comes to the mind. Okay, we leave this question at this juncture. You must have heard about the surgical strikes.
Yes, sir.
Today, have you read today's paper?
Sir, I just marginally brushed it up. I've heard that Iran has made a strike into an Israeli spy base in Iraq. So that is something that I've heard.
Israeli, but it was something in Pakistan also. There were some surgical strikes by Iran. That was also in the newspaper.
Sorry, sir, I haven't.
Oh, you missed it. Okay. Coming to football, what is if you go by the history of football, India had some place in 1952 Olympics.
Right, sir.
So why India is going down? What is the problem? Like in 52, India was 3rd in Olympics or 4th in the Olympics. There's something almost just missed the bronze medal or won the bronze medal. I don't remember exactly. Can you explain why India is going down and now it even doesn't participate in the world football? Where we are failing?
So where we are failing, I would say, is that we don't have a big infrastructure at the grassroots level. We don't have a scouting network that can bring people, the talent from the grassroots and the rural level, and utilize the entire talent pool of the country. Apart from that, sir, there is also a very big role that the media should play and the influencers should play in promoting football, which is, I would say, is missing. In general, the general perception among the population is against pursuing a career in sports because of the socio-economic conditions of the country. So these are some of the issues why perhaps football has not been as prominent as cricket when it comes to our country.
Okay, well, do you know what is the Right to Service Act?
Sorry, sir, I'll have to read about it.
Okay, my last question. You are a mathematics student. Can you tell me the difference between the volume of a cone and a volume of a cylinder?
Sir, volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r square h, whereas volume of a cylinder is pi r square h.
Okay, my questions are over.
Rajiv.
One question in continuation of NPA.
Sure, sir.
When does NPA becomes a criminal act?
Sir, I'm not specifically aware about it, but I believe when it's there is voluntary fugitives. I mean, sir, I'll have to read about
Why
it.
does it become NPA? You take loan,
Yes, sir.
and then there could be a number of reasons for which the business didn't succeed. There could
Yes,
be
sir.
absolutely genuine reason, as you
Yes,
said, that because of the COVID, etc. But there could be reason that right from the very beginning of asking for loan, there was some misrepresentation,
Evergreening of
misinformation,
loan.
yeah,
Yes,
that kind of thing. So in that circumstance, it becomes a criminal.
Sure, sir.
Is there any law specific for that in India, which
So
takes
the-
care of this?
Fugitive,
That is a declaration afterwards. That is not the initial experience. Money laundering.
okay, sir. Okay.
Money laundering
Right,
comes
sir.
into picture
Prevention
because of the
Money Laundering
NPA.
Act 2008.
Now, what is the basic difference between the Amazon and the Flipkart?
What is the difference?
Huh.
Sir, I would say, first of all, the market share of Flipkart is much more than Amazon. It's 51%. Because Flipkart made a very early entry into the Indian market. It came in 2007, whereas Amazon came close to 2012, 2013. Flipkart also has a better understanding of its Indian consumer base. It brought cash on delivery, which was a very innovative and a significant step in India's e-commerce journey. So these are primarily the differences. Apart from that, Walmart is a very big investor in Flipkart because it sees itself as a competitor of Amazon outside of the North American market.
Is Flipkart a startup?
Sir, right now I would not consider it as a startup because of the
It initially started as a startup.
Yes, sir.
What about Amazon?
Sir, by definition, so there's a definition given by the Finance Ministry, if I'm not wrong,
Yes.
or perhaps the Commerce Ministry, sorry.
Hmm.
But by the definition, I would say Amazon India would have been a startup at the time.
Right. So recently there has been a report regarding the progress of startups in the country. India has taken a good lead. India's position in this startup is,
Third, sir, India is the third biggest startup ecosystem after US, China.
and how many unicorns are here?
Sir, 100, sir, I will have to brush up on the figure, but it's close to 112
Okay.
or something. But
Okay. And if you come to women empowerment, how many of these startups are managed by women only? Or
Yes,
the
sir.
women have been the lead?
right, so women as co-founders and startups which have become
Yes.
unicorns, it's significantly less. I'm not aware about the specific figures, but I think it might be close to 10 or 20%.
It's actually approaching 50%.
Is it? Sir?
It's
That's a very good news.
Some of the states have fared well. So far as startup is concerned, Maharashtra, your state being one of them.
Right, sir.
Some of the states haven't,
Right.
like MP, Bihar, UP, Rajasthan. Why? What would be the reason for that?
So there are multiple reasons. I would say one is availability of capital. Startups in general are very cash burning companies. So that is one. Apart from that, sir, skill development and availability of skilled people to run the startup. Second, sir, being a ready-made market is also very important. Maharashtra, Karnataka, where these startups are very prominent, have people with a lot of purchasing power. So that is also another significant reasons. Apart from that, sir, there is also, I would say, it's growing right now. Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, they are having a bigger contribution, and probably now, as we see, there's a rising trend of startups coming up in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. So that would also, in future,
Initial computerization helped the industry.
right, sir.
Now the government is focusing it on being public or people-centric.
Right, sir.
What do you think the manifestation of this, so far as the delivery part on the part of the government is concerned?
Sir, I believe it will reduce the cost of services, service delivery for government. Definitely, we have, as has been shown through the DBT program. Apart from that, sir, it will make services accessible for a lot of people. Right now, there's this WAM portal which makes education accessible.
Do you
beyond
think
the
that it has
geography.
any impact on the corruption
Yes, sir,
and
definitely.
grievance redressal?
Definitely, sir. As we have seen in DBT itself, right, the leakages have been brought down by a very significant margin. So, because technology democratizes information and brings more transparency, so I definitely believe it's actually going to reduce corruption by a significant margin.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Last question. Who's the best actor in Bollywood today, according to you?
Sir, I am not a very big cinema fan, but if I have to give an answer, I would say even today I would go ahead with Amir Khan, sir.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. We'll call you in 2 minutes for feedback.
Sure, sir.